Gabe Esuola joins Proud Product Peeps today. Gabe is an agency partnership lead, and we talk about everything from being memorable to a critical strength that he has. He does what he says he's going to do. Welcome to the show, Gabe. It is so wonderful to see you in person and to have you join Proud Product Peeps.
Man, it's great seeing you too, Justin. Every time I see you, I feel like that beard just gets nicely trimmed each time, man. I always like looking at everybody's backgrounds too. Like we're on these Zoom calls all the time, and I'm just like, okay, I see a keyboard, so that already lets me know we have a lot in common there. I see the appreciation for art, and I'm seeing a super dope hat that I kind of want.
Yeah, on the hat, it's from a local store called Glory Days Apparel. And the shirts, that's pretty much, actually, that's the only thing I've been wearing for these podcasts. And by the way, I am the least musical person you probably have ever met. My wife was a commercial music major.
Oh
And
wow.
so we have the piano here, and our kids play, and my daughter is now in a musical, so they practice here. It's good. It makes it seem like I'm artsy, but actually the pictures here are all the pictures that we've taken on trips that we've been on. And so I
hmm
blow them up and put them in here because they're great memories. Two places that aren't on here, which I think you recently went to on your honeymoon. Congratulations for getting married, by the way.
Thank you.
Uh, you went to Greece and Spain. Should
hmm
I add that to the list of where we go, or what do you think
Absolutely.
about this? Yeah.
Absolutely, man. So, ironically, after getting married, my honeymoon, that was my first time experiencing Europe. I'd never been to Europe before and loved both sides. We went to Greece first. We went to Athens. And Athens was awesome, man. Like it was like a big city. It felt like New York almost, right? But the coolest thing about it though is you're walking the streets and then you start going up this hill. And as you go up this hill, and you see the Colosseum like in the middle of the city. I've never seen that before, right? Like from the Greek times and everything. So I thought that was awesome. We took a lot of pictures. It was pretty hot out. I was wearing a backpack, so felt like I probably lost like 10 pounds just from all the walking that we were doing. Got a chance to experience some things about Europe that are so much better. One, I see why people, when they return from Europe, they turn into wine connoisseurs because it's so good out there. Like, I was never a wine drinker until like I actually went to Europe. Now, like, we buy bottles. Now I feel like I'm getting bougie. I feel like I'm losing myself a little more now. You
Well,
know,
the
but
preservatives make a difference because usually they're not putting preservatives in over there, so it does taste different, the beer and the wine. But I agree. When I go to places, I'm like, oh, like I like this now. So yeah. What kind of wine are you into? Red, white, anything specific?
man, so I love a red blend. And I'm seasonal. So when it's like summertime, you will see me drinking Pinot Grigio all the time. And Sauvignon Blanc. When it gets a little colder, I like a Malbec, but most of the time I'll take a red blend. Not too sweet, but like not too bitter either.
You are turning into bougie. That was a little bit of a test to see if you knew stuff. I'm like red, white, the mixture, rosé. I'd be able to name a few. By the way, you said you took a lot of great pictures. I did notice your background is kind of limited. Maybe take some pictures and blow it up. Mix Tiles does a great job, and maybe
Mhm.
put those in the room there.
I agree. I think when we own our first home and we're not renting, I have so many ideas for my little like office cave, and it's going to be kind of similar to yours, just minus the keyboard. It's going to have a bunch of guitars, and we've got so many pictures from there in Athens, and then we went to Mykonos. So we saw the really cool beaches. If you're a beach person, you're gonna love Mykonos. I would say go before June because it's not crazy touristy. If you love cats, you'll love it even more because for some reason in Greece there was nothing but cats everywhere. Like feral cats. They get treated better than I think some of the citizens. Like they basically have like pet hospitals that will like drive trucks around and give them shots and take care of them while they're out on the streets.
Hmm. Interesting. I hadn't heard that about Mykonos. And then you went to Spain. Where in Spain did you go?
Hmm. Went to Barcelona, man. Barcelona probably my favorite out of all of them. I loved Barcelona. The coolest thing to Barcelona was the fact that wherever you went, you had so much variety. I went into a West African spot, so I'm West African, I'm Nigerian, and I was just curious. So me and the wife, we go walking. We walked probably about the equivalent of 5 miles, and we find this West African restaurant. Coolest thing I ever saw. This man is West African. He's speaking the dialect to his kitchen. Somebody that's in front of us happened to be, Spaniard. He started speaking Spanish as fluent as possible. And then when he got to me, I was like, I don't really speak English. He completely flipped on me and was like, "That's okay. What do you want?" Like I was like, "That is so cool. That is so cool to have restaurants that people are that like trilingual." And the food was great. I mean, if you love food, the food is great out there. The wine is great out there as well in Spain. Soccer, I would go to a soccer game out there. We went to just like a minor league soccer game, and the
Hmm.
atmosphere felt like major league. Like it was awesome.
Yeah, they definitely take it serious over there, and it is interesting what you say about individuals being able to speak multiple languages. I mean, it is, and being able to switch in the middle. I always go and I'm like, you speak 4 or 5 languages. I barely speak English, and
Yeah.
you're mastering 3, 4 languages. It's unbelievably impressive, and yeah, Barcelona, quite diverse. The food was amazing. A couple times that I've
Hmm.
been there, both times on work. I think I actually celebrated my 40th birthday there, and all I cared about was getting sangria. And we found a lame spot that like made it in like a blender, and I was kind of disappointed because it was like too commercialized or something like that. But yeah,
We'll sneak up
Barcelona
on you.
was great. Yes, yeah. And
Sangria,
then
we'll sneak up on
so you're also into video and music. You mentioned
you.
the guitars and all that stuff, but like doing production. I don't know if we talked about this at one point, but since my oldest was born, she's now 22.
Hmm.
We have done a family movie every year where we take all of our video footage and we edit it down into 45-minute movie with music. My wife selects the music,
I
and
like
I do
that.
the editing, and we have 22 years of the edited versions. And at a point when our kids we would be in the car and their friends were there, that's all they want to watch was like, oh, let's pull out the 2011 Anavic family movie. But it got pretty intense. I have green screens, drones, I have lights,
Oh wow.
and I use Final Cut Pro to do it.
Hmm.
And it's fun, but it's a lot of work. But I have that as kind of my passion. I feel like you have taken it to the next level of what you do. Would you talk a little bit about what you do from a video and music production perspective?
Absolutely. First, I definitely want some suggestions from you after this about some of the equipment that you've used in the past, because that could help me. Before I got into what my career is now, if you had talked to me 13, 14 years ago, I thought I was going to be the next music producer. I thought I was going to be the next Kanye West, right? Like I was doing music production. I had it as a passion. I actually was a music major before I switched to marketing and got my degree. And I I feel like the people that find purpose are people that are able to take their professional passion and their personal passion together. So I started looking at video and music, and I'm like, okay, I've always been a songwriter, writing songs, creating things. Now I want to get into video because during the pandemic, I actually wrote a TV pilot script, like everything together. I used the program to like, show the prompts of okay, person walks in disheveled and all that stuff, right? And what I want to do is I want to take the music ideas that I have and combine them with this theme that I'm creating right now that I want to release in February. That's going to use original music and then also use video along with AI to create almost kind of like webisodes, but almost like bite webisodes, about a minute and a half, 2 minutes.
Very cool.
Hmm.
Yeah, so like TikTok oriented for TikTok and YouTube Shorts. Uh, yeah.
I would say I'd say LinkedIn. I want to play with LinkedIn's video algorithm that they now have now. TikTok. I almost feel like TikTok is cool, but I want to go somewhere where there's not too much saturation and just experiment with it, have fun with it, and have it where it's more satire. It's not about like being a thought leader and going, hey, I know everything. It's kind of like, hey, I call it professional trolling, which is what satire really is. It's just professional trolling. Like I'm gonna flip both sides and create original music. In addition, be able to record video and kind of show performance of how somebody feels. The anxiety in tech is what it's really about. Is technology, the anxiety behind it, as well as the opportunity in it.
That's pretty cool. I love that idea, and also possibly a self-deprecating, non-serious, like you're saying, satire
Oh yeah,
is needed. I was just listening to this podcast put up by Caspian Studios that it's called Murder in HR, and it's interesting because it does take the corporate tech world culture and they're creating the storyline with it, and it's super interesting when you see some of the connections because it is the reality of your day to day at a B2B software company, and but it's satire, and so
yeah.
definitely looking forward to that. Curious, what's considering the topic of the podcast, Proud Product Peeps, what made you most proud of? What are you most proud of in your career?
It's a good question. It's a tough question too because it's like to say what you're most proud of. It's like you know, is it selfish? Is it selfless? Like this. I'm a very introspective thinker, so like when you ask this question, it's like okay, how can I answer it? I could say that I'm proud that I found the one in my life. It's my wife, but that's too sappy. So honestly, I think what I'm most proud of is that being in tech sales and being in my personal life, when I come across a roadblock or something that can prevent progress, my personality never changes. Whether I'm at the top of the hill or I'm struggling to get to the top of the hill, like I keep maintain the sense of the integrity that I want to have in all good and bad situations. And I'm proud of that because I've been around people that when things are tough, the personality changes. They kind of switch up a little bit. If things are tough, I'm right there with you. And I don't waver. And I'm proud of
I
that.
mean,
I'm proud that I have
I
that.
think I think that's wonderful because you're right. Sometimes it's hard to not either be a chameleon or to act different, and I think that I've definitely learned somewhat the hard way because of how I've acted or how I've seen peers or or bosses act, where the spectrum is so wide and you don't know what you're getting from a volatility perspective,
Hmm.
and to know the reaction that you're expecting because it's similar. And I think that the as I've gotten up in my career, that volatility level needs to be very small. Like you need to be consistent and all that stuff. And it is interesting. I mean, I haven't heard many people talk about this, to be honest. Like, do you have any specific examples that you don't mind sharing of where it became difficult, or even I assume that you're not celebrating like a crazy man when something goes well. That being consistent is who you're about. But do you have any specific examples on either side of the celebration of something, or
Absolutely.
when something went wrong?
Absolutely. You know, me being in tech sales, even though I'm in partnerships, there's sales to it. It's just indirect revenue. You will have a quarter where every agency is coming to you and you're crushing it. And you will have a quarter where nobody's coming to you. And you can be on a team where energy can just be down, whether you're remote or in an office, you can just feel the energy down. And I never feel that way. If I'm having a rough quarter, I'm still joking with you. I'm still asking how things are going with your family. I'm gonna keep it light. The same way I would say too is, and I haven't told many people, but I had a health scare several years ago. And through the graces of God, it wasn't like advanced cancer or anything like that, but it was a legitimate health scare. I didn't waver. I kept the same energy that I had. Like I was like, you know what? Whatever we find out diagnose wise, I'll be fine. And I leaned on my passions. I was playing so much guitar during that time. Same thing when I struggle. What do? I go back to like what makes me happy. What gives me purpose? My job gives me some purpose, but my purpose is more than just, hey, let me influence this relationship and create revenue for my company. My purpose is you meet me, you're not going to meet somebody like me. You'll meet a lot of people in your world, but I'm going to be memorable and I'm going to make it a point that you're going to remember me in a good way and that we're going to have memories. And that's what I'm about. And when I'm struggling or I'm at the top, that's all I care about is being true to who I am and leaning on my passions to get me out of whatever mud I need to climb out of.
So from your health scare, that's amazing that you were able to stay consistent. But you've also had in your career, you've had a evolution, sales, BDR sales, and partner world. And while there are some similarities in there, did you
hmm
ever notice that once you entered into a new role where you weren't as experienced, were you still staying consistent? Like when you started getting into the partner world, even though you probably had some self doubt, did you still feel like you remained consistent with who you were?
Absolutely. Each rung is different. When you're a sales development person, you just got to learn. You got to learn as much as you can. Wherever I went, every company I went to when I was an SDR, I paid attention to product a lot because I think I always had a passion for product. I just always felt like, I don't have that Yale or that Stanford degree, or I'm not an engineer. And then I realized how expansive product is. I would talk to people because I know that as much as you needed my input, as much as you needed my input on what was going on the front lines with prospects,
That was a little jump scare for me.
I needed to know as much as I could from you all to understand, product market fit and understanding how to deliver a value prop. A lot of that came from product, right? So doing that and then going to partnerships. Partnerships was kind of like it was funny, man. Like I naturally am a partner person, in that if you look at groups of friends that I have, I'm a Venn diagram that's connected to so many people. And it's not work for me to be able to connect with people because I actually do care about what people are doing. It's not the whole like, you know, oh, hey, what's going on? We should do lunch like they did in Hollywood. Like if I say we should do lunch, I mean it. If I want to do lunch with you, trust me, I won't say it. So I felt like I got stronger in partnerships. And then I was fortunate because I was on a dream team that nurtured me in many ways. There were several people on that partnership team that were super seasoned, super great at what they did. And I mean, I think that was a big part of what like helped my progression, So when I struggled, I had a support system. I didn't even have to lean on my passions, the guitar and stuff.
Yeah.
I had a strong support system.
Nice. You mentioned something in there. If you ask somebody to lunch, it's not just a fake ask, that you seriously, legitimately mean it. I think that's a great connection to the Strength Finders conversation.
hmm
Your top three Clifton strengths are responsibility, strategic, and significance. And the definition of responsibility at Clifton Strengths is you do what you say you're going to do. Would you
hmm
talk about, a little bit about that strength of responsibility and how it's probably more than just saying do what you're saying you're going to do. There's a expectation that I think it's interesting. You're consistent in who you are, and that's what you're most proud of. You're responsible. People can count on you. How important is that truly, and how you said you're introspective, how have you noticed that it actually benefits other people too for those two things working together?
Yeah, I think just being intentional. When I'm in partnerships, when I have conversations, whether partnerships or just general conversations, I tend to feel that people have a mask when they're talking to you, and justifiably so. But once they
Hmm.
kind of understand, all right, this person's not BSing me. This person actually is revealing how they really are. Then I feel like you get true dialogue that comes out of it. So I think the fact that I'm very much like, hey, let's talk about this and let's address this, and I'm intentional, that energy comes back. It doesn't always come back, but I feel like it makes it easier for somebody to be like, okay, I can talk to this person and not have corporate ease or, speaky while talking to them. I think the other thing too is a sense of responsibility. I think it also comes from like your environment, right? Like I basically grew up in like a single parent home for the most part. My dad was kind of around for the first couple years, but my dad was also that person that was like, hey, we're going to Six Flags Great America. Hey, we're going to Chuck E. Cheese. And I get excited, and he'd say he'd be on the way, and it'd be 3, 4 hours later, he never would show. And as I got older, I told myself, the day I become a father, I was like, I don't want to be that guy. If I can't do something, I want to tell you, hey, Justin, I don't know how to do this. And you know what? Hey, I can't commit to this. I don't want to, keep people on strings because I know what it felt like when I was a kid. And moving forward, being professional, I just want to be intentional with everything that I do.
Wow, that's powerful. And we have some similar experiences. And I also too learned what not to do from, family members and such. And that was definitely one of them. And having three kids, like, if I said I was doing something and then by the time it comes around to it and I don't want to do it, and it doesn't matter. You got to do it because like you got to teach them that your word is important, and to not just say yes just to get out of the conversation. I use maybe a lot. That's the indicator of like I'm not sure, but I don't want to say no because I might be, and but I definitely don't want to say yes. So I'm like maybe, and they know now, like like that may mean no, but it may mean yes. And I'm big into surprises, so it's like I try not to say anything, or I go the opposite way from a positive perspective. So yeah, that's interesting from that perspective. Hey, look, we couldn't go this conversation without talking about how you were dressing up as Santa. And honestly, I am still, I can't wait for my beard to get white because it's lame having to wear like a fake beard. And right, so like I try to dress up each year. I have this amazing costume that when we were in Finland, I saw how their costumes are different. And I have this amazing costume, but like nobody wants a trendy Santa, right? They still want like Santa with the white beard. So I got to wear
Mhm.
that. But you have a good, backstory to why you were dressing up as Santa a few years ago.
I was. So the funny thing was that it was 2020, and actually I'd say probably 2021. A friend of mine that is a musician had a music video, and he had a concept, quarantine Christmas. And he's like, "Hey, I'd like you to be a part of something." I was like, "Okay, yeah, if I got time." I had time. I go there. I'm thinking I'm just gonna be in a music video or whatever, just by a bar or something like that. And then he pulls out this suit, and he's like, "Yeah, I didn't get a chance to ask you this, but I'd like you to be Santa." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Put me on the spot, so I went ahead and did it. And I dressed up. I got the pillows to make my belly look just protruding out like crazy. I started sweating like crazy though. Like, I mean, I was sweating profusely just being in that Santa outfit. But I had so much fun though, because it kind of brought back nostalgia in a good way, right? Like, I
Mm.
hadn't been able to spend a Christmas with my mom and my stepdad or any family members during COVID, right? Everybody was freaking out, and they weren't in my household, so I never got to see them. So this made me feel good, being Santa, and I started saying I was Santa G. And I would like show a post like every year, except last year. I didn't get a chance to do it last year, but from 2021 to about 2021 and 2022, I went ahead and like showed right around Christmas time, hey, Santa G's coming. And then we also did a dance off of me in the Santa outfit that
Oh wow.
I'll send it to you. You'll crack up over it. But I had a blast with it, man. I love the holidays. I love Christmas is one of my favorite holidays. And it's not even about gifts anymore. It's the energy. I'm all about energy.
Yes.
I love the energy of like getting gifts for other people and seeing them be excited over it.
Nice. And you're gonna, if someone asks you for a gift and you said yes, I'll get it. You're the guy who will definitely get it.
Yeah, I would definitely get it. And it'll be something unique though, right? Like it's like, look, you're a grown person. If you want to buy a gym membership or a spa treatment, you can do that on your own. Let me think of something that's uniquely reminiscent of a conversation we had, right? Perfect example.
Yeah.
My wife knows that I love like old school wrestling. So for my birthday in September, this is what I got for my birthday: a Bret Hart action figure,
Oh wow.
and she got me Batman because I'm the hugest Batman fan. I love
Nice.
gifts like
Nice.
that, and I love to give gifts back like that.
So I grew up in the same town as Sergeant Slaughter. Remember
Really?
that guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. He would drive around in his camouflage limo, or somebody would drive him around.
Hmm.
And he and my mom knew each other somehow. And one day the door rang. I got the door, and it was Sergeant
Hmm.
Slaughter dressed up, and he put me in an airplane spin, put me back in the house, and then he drove away. And that was during his time where he wasn't in the WWF. He was like in a sub league. It was like he was popular, but then they kind of like fall out of favor and all this stuff. So we went to like this local gym and saw him, and he
Oh,
like
nice.
he had like the blood and the capsules, and somebody hit him with a thing. But that was interesting. And I worked at a store in Nashville, mailboxes, et cetera, at the time, and the Undertaker would come in all the time. And seeing that guy as a regular guy, I mean, he was huge still, versus
Yeah.
like his persona, that was quite interesting. So got to chat with him numerous times. Hey, so you're a Batman fan, being in Chicago, Gotham City. I think that now's the time I wanted to go through true or false questions about Chicago and see
Ooh,
how well you do.
put me on the spot. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. I mean, I don't want to give it away, but these aren't hard. I hate when people say that because now you feel silly if you don't get them, but I don't think these are super hard.
All right.
All right, true or false? Chicago is the starting point of Route 66. Yes. All right. Chicago River flows backwards due to a series of engineering projects.
True.
Yes. Yeah, so it actually flowed the other way, and then when they're building all those buildings and
Hmm.
getting into the bedrock and all that, they
Yeah.
somehow had the river go the
Chicago
opposite way.
Fire. I remember as a kid learning about the Chicago Fire and how we had to kind of reverse and completely rebuild everything after the Chicago Fire, which is why when Chicago like has a lot of rainfall, we don't flood. We don't flood like other counties
Hmm.
that like Kankakee and everything. Like it's because we're higher up.
Wow, nice, bringing the trivia to the trivia. All right, so you're two for two. Good job. All right, every city has a Latin motto or a motto in Latin. Chicago's is E pluribus unum. True or false?
Ooh, I've never heard of that one before. Based off pattern recognition, I'm gonna guess false.
Oh, come on, man. False. Correct. That's New York City. Uh, Key main competitor to Chicago. That's New York City. Chicago's is Herbs in Herto, which means city garden. Apparently,
Wow, never
I
knew
assumed
that.
it had something to do with wind or whatever, but no, it's city garden. All right. So you're three for three. Nice one. The last one, downtown is known as the Loop because it's encircled by Chicago Transit Authority elevation from the trains.
True.
That is true. That's why it's called the Loop. I don't entirely see the connection, I guess, other than its metal structures surrounding the city. All right. With that, I actually am interested almost entirely for personal benefit. I'm asking everybody what's your favorite book, TV show, or movie that you read or seen in the last year?
Yeah. Okay. My favorite book in the last year, and it's an older one, but I think it's a good one. Eric Rees, The Lean Startup. I started reading that, and I'm still reading it because I think it's one of those books that you read as you kind of advance in your career and you start to make sense of what experimentation really is and how you can apply it to your daily life, how you can apply a hypothesis like house buying, for example, with me and the wife. We can create hypotheses and experiment to help us figure out what house is the best fit for us, just as much as I can do it in the tech world. So I love that book. It makes it pretty easy to understand. So Lean Startup. I love The Bear
Hmm.
on Hulu. The Bear. It's good. It's a good show. Have you heard of it?
I have. We started watching a couple episodes and for whatever reason couldn't get into it, but figured that was one that probably needs more than a couple episodes to really absorb. So might get back into it. But that's a good
Yeah,
recommendation. Yeah.
yeah. They're 3 seasons in. The first season is kind of like building the story. Once you get to the second season, way better.
Nice. Okay. So get through the first. And no one has really like 27 episodes in a season anymore, so it's not that difficult to get through a
Nah, it's
season.
only I
So,
think like 10.
yeah, nice. Well, cool. I have a good view of a variety of different shows that I haven't watched now after recording multiples of these. But with that, Gabe, I wanted to thank you so much for joining. It was wonderful catching up with you, hearing what you're most proud of. Appreciate you being on the show.
Man, I appreciate being on it, man. Always love seeing what you're up to, and thank you for giving me the opportunity.
All right, man. Have a great day.
Thank you too, bro.